There's something about Tech's death that just doesn't sit right with me. Like you're watching the episode, fully invested, laser-focused, and then boom, he's gone. No build-up, no final words, just a sudden dive into the emotional void while the rest of the team moves on like they accidentally left a datapad behind. And you're just sitting there, trying to figure out if that really just happened. You start rewinding the scene, looking for clues, some kind of sign that this was the plan all along. But nope, it's just a blurry sequence of chaos followed by the world's fastest eulogy. Like, I get it, Star Wars loves a good tragedy. But this one felt like it was ripped out of a script rewrite 5 minutes before lunch. No arc completed, no closure given. Just heartbreak on a timer. And what really stings is how far Tech had come. This wasn't just the mission guy anymore. He grew, he changed. He became something more than the squad's go-to technician with a monotone voice and a tool belt. He had real moments, real relationships. He started to understand people, and people started to understand him. Which makes it even more painful that they decided to end his story with a shrug and a fade to black. You look at other character deaths in Star Wars, and even when they hurt, they meant something. Kanan's sacrifice, Vader's redemption. Even Rogue One's entire third act gave each loss weight, purpose, structure, but Tech's felt like it was written by someone who ran out of page space and just said, "Welp, guess he's done." And it didn't just affect Tech. It affected the whole team dynamic. It broke something foundational. And not in a cool, dramatic way. In a jarring, what just happened kind of way. And the worst part is, they barely even processed it. Barely mourned him. Like he was just another asset down instead of a brother lost. It was like watching a family dinner where nobody mentions the empty chair at the table. In this video, we're breaking down exactly why Tech didn't need to die. How his death felt rushed, hollow, and unnecessary. And why Star Wars needs to stop sacrificing brilliant characters just to remind us that things are serious now. Because trust me, we already knew that. We just hoped someone in the writer's room did too. From the beginning, Tech stood out for all the right reasons. He wasn't just the nerd with all the gadgets. He was the guy who'd calmly explain hyperspace trajectories, while everyone else was dodging blaster fire. He'd hack Imperial databases, fix starships with chewing gum, and still have time to correct records grammar, which made him easy to underestimate, until Season 2 came along and gave him something more. That's when things got interesting. Tech wasn't just the mission guy anymore. We got episodes where he bonded with Omega, where he showed empathy, where he learned to communicate instead of just calculate. And for once, it felt like Star Wars was giving its introverted genius some room to breathe, to grow, and maybe even to matter beyond the battlefield. So naturally, just when he started evolving, they killed him off. And not in a blaze of glory or some grand sacrificial moment that redefined the arc of the team. No, they tossed him off a rail like he was just done for the season. Cue the music. Cue the sadness, cue the questions fans have been asking ever since. Because, seriously, was this really the best way to end Tech's story? Or did Star Wars just write itself into a corner and hit the cheap heartbreak button? That's what we're here to break down. Because this didn't feel like destiny. It felt like a decision. Alright, cards on the table. Tech's death was completely avoidable, and not in the "I wish he lived" kind of way, but in the "this literally made no sense" kind of way. The scene felt rushed. The setup was flimsy. And the payoff, if you can even call it that, was practically non-existent. It wasn't storytelling. It was emotional manipulation dressed in a dramatic filter. Let's walk through it. Tech gets pinned during a cable car chase. It's intense, it's chaotic, and then suddenly he cuts the line and drops into oblivion. Boom, gone. No last words, no real closure. Just Crosshair and the gang staring off like they lost a cousin they only recently started bonding with again. It's supposed to hit hard, but all it does is leave us blinking, like, wait, that's it? The worst part is, the team barely even reacts. Hunter gives a quick grunt of regret. Omega sheds a tear or two, and then it's straight back to mission mode, like Tech wasn't just their strategic backbone and emotional compass. It's like losing the pilot mid-flight and saying, hey, we'll just autopilot the rest. The man literally saved their lives every week, and they treated his death like it was a Tuesday inconvenience. And what makes it sting more is how unnecessary it felt in the broader narrative. There were no lasting consequences from his sacrifice. No character was fundamentally changed. The mission didn't hinge on his death, and the show didn't even confirm his body, which means they might bring him back later. But that would just prove this whole stunt was pointless in the first place. Losing Tech hit differently, because he wasn't just a side character. He was the one who made you listen closer, not louder. In a squad full of muscle, tactics, and emotion. He was the quiet logic, keeping everything from falling apart. And when that's gone, you don't just feel the absence. You notice it in every line that's never said. He never got the big speeches or the flashy hero moments, but you always knew he was there, calculating the odds, hacking the systems, keeping them alive behind the scenes. It's like when a song loses the bass line. You can't point to it directly, but the whole thing feels emptier without it. What made Tech so compelling was his subtle transformation. He went from being socially detached to being emotionally aware, from clinical to compassionate. That episode where he tells Omega that just because I process things differently doesn't mean I don't feel them was so real. It wasn't flashy, but it was powerful. And in that moment, Tech became more than a trope. He became human. That's why it hurts, because he was finally stepping out of the shadow of his function. He was becoming something more. A mentor to Omega, a friend to Wrecker, a stabilizing force for Echo and Hunter. He was the one quietly holding the team together, not through strength, but through consistency. And now he's gone, ripped away in a moment that didn't feel earned, and left behind a silence that the show hasn't figured out how to fill. You can feel the void in every group shot, every mission plan, every little beat where Tech should be speaking, and just isn't. But let's give credit where it's due, because for all the pain of his exit, Tech was an incredible character. One of the few clones who broke the mold without needing a big personality overhaul. He stayed technoanalytical, witty, awkward, and deeply principled, and somehow, that made him one of the most authentic parts of the show. You watch him explain the tactical advantages of terrain like it's bedtime reading, or correct someone's math mid-chase, and it's so effortlessly him. It's not played for laughs, it's not exaggerated, it's just the way he sees the world. And watching the rest of the team slowly learn to appreciate that about him was kind of beautiful. Tech's story isn't finished yet. There are plenty of hints scattered through Season 2 that suggests he might not be gone forever. They didn't show his body. They barely confirmed anything. And if there's one thing Star Wars loves more than desert planets, it's a surprise comeback. And look, we've seen this before. Echo was presumed dead. Maul was literally sliced in half. Palpatine somehow returned, and we're still pretending that makes sense. So if you're telling me Tech Mr. I-built-my-own-COMMS-array-in-the-dark- is gone for good just because he fell, I'm not buying it until I see the goggles in a coffin. Plus, the emotional groundwork is already there. Omega misses him, the team is fractured. Crosshair's redemption arc is kicking in. Bringing Tech back wouldn't just be fan service, it would fit the narrative. It would raise new questions, challenge the team, and give us that final moment of earned reconciliation we never got. And even if he is gone for good, that doesn't mean his legacy has to be. The team can evolve because of him, not in spite of his loss. Maybe Omega picks up his habits. Maybe Hunter starts listening more. Maybe Wrecker finally finishes one of those stories Tech always interrupted. Hope isn't about undoing what hurts. It's about finding meaning in it. And if Tech's presence can still guide the team, still echo through their decisions, then maybe, just maybe, that brainy little clone hasn't really left us at all. At the end of the day, Tech's death feels less like the end of a character, and more like a missed opportunity. It wasn't just that he died, it's how he died. And what it said about how we treat quiet characters in big stories. We give them depth, give them heart, and then use them as emotional fuel when the stakes need a boost. But Tech wasn't a tool, he was a person, a fully realized voice in a sea of war and loss. And the tragedy is, we were just starting to hear him clearly, just starting to see him. And then the story cut him off before he got the ending he earned. Still, there's something powerful about how deeply this hit fans. Because when a quiet character like Tech makes this much noise in the silence after they're gone, that says something. That means the writing worked, even if the choice didn't. So whether he's truly gone, or just hiding in some Imperial lab, one thing's clear, Tech mattered, and his absence doesn't fade away. It lingers. In the datapads, the cold logic, the awkward silences that used to be filled with facts and footnotes. Because sometimes, the smartest character in the room is the one we don't realize we needed, until it's too late. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos, please consider looking at my pinned comment and checking out the links for my Amazon storefront. It contains my favorite Legos, my gear in which I make videos, and comics that I read on a daily basis. I update it constantly, so please, take a moment and click on the link. On top of that, check out my second channel, Critical Analysis Hub Plus, and my third channel, Critical Analysis Hub XP. Just one click would go on a long way in supporting my channels and future in YouTube.